Perfect. My name is Preston McFeeters. Just introduction here for the child observation assignment. Um, just to kind of order it out, what I'm going to be talking about. First, I'll start off introducing just the two children that I was able to observe. One of them, his name was Liam, as mentioned by, I assume, his brother. It could be a cousin, could be a friend. I assume it was his brother. So Liam, he's probably about 4 or 5 years old. Couldn't be older than 5. And then the second child, I don't know her name. All I know is she has a younger brother, she has an older brother, and she has a mom. And she was probably, if I had to say, maybe she was 5, maybe 6. 6 being the absolute oldest, but I think she was probably 5. And I don't think she's in school because this was during school hours. And just the setting there, I was just at a park. First one, I was on a bench watching a kid play, Liam, watching him build blocks under over by the playground. I don't know what it would be called. And then the second girl, I moved over to the pavilion and she was drawing a picture. Obviously I'm not watching her, but I could listen and I'd turn my head and everything. But yeah, I didn't, interview the kids or anything, so I just kind of watched, kept my space, and just watched and observed and noted down everything. So I'll go into those notes here. Right now I have these pulled up. But in this, discussion, I'm just gonna analyze like their maturity levels, their, where they are in their development, as well as, where they will probably end up based off of where they are now. So, let's see, with Liam, his, two things that I observed with him were his social competence, so his ability to, be cooperative in a social setting, and then also his emotional development, so how he would react to certain things, whether it was him not getting his way or whether, things were going his way, how he was reacting emotionally. So with the social competence, some things I was looking for was how he was able to work cooperatively, his negotiation skills with his, what I'm just going to call his brother, I'm not 100% sure, his ability to take turns, and then for emotional development, being able to express his feelings through words, and just being able to recover from being frustrated, so turning his frustration into a solution. So with him, a couple of things that I noticed was how he would react when things would not go his way. So they're building a tower, and when the tower would fall, he would be visibly frustrated. He would, blame his brother at first. He would, kind of yell, get upset. But then he started cooperating. He started, helping his brother in a different role so that they could together build the tower. So that was very interesting. Some mature things there were just being able to be cooperative with his brother, being able to communicate verbally instead of, pushing him or whatever it may be. And then, taking his initial reaction of being, angry to, okay, how can I solve this, and how can we work together to build a tower here? And then some immature behavior there was just like his initial reaction of when a tower fell over and he blamed his brother, saying that it was his fault. And then just the tone he used, I guess, being angry. And, taking this, comparing it to, where kids are his age, is very on par. He's very, average, I would say, with, for his age group, being able to kind of, like his impulse control, I guess. So just being able to take an initial reaction, pause a little bit, and then, make a decision after that. And then just also being able to take turns was another thing. And so obviously, being able to being frustrated, very natural. I could see it in the future being a problem if, he's at school doing a project with a group or in another group setting and things don't go his way, if he lashes out. But overall, if he can, regulate his emotions there, he'll have strong relationships when he gets to grade school. But if, obviously if he continues to, blame other people for what happened, or, if he gets physical with it at all, that'll be a hindrance to his maturity, I guess. And then with the second child, I don't know her name. She's probably about 5 years old. I know she has, a family. She was drawing a picture of them over in a pavilion on a table. And two things that I focus on with her is language development, and then also with moral development. So language development, very good child to observe for this topic, mainly because she was very smart in using her words, using complex sentences. They're always grammatically correct. She would, ask a question, wait, receive the answer, and then, process that. So she was very fluent in her words, so that helped. That looked good as far as her maturity there. And then, of course, her moral development is, when things, with kids, things don't always go their way. So when things didn't go her way, being able to reason, be able to, rationalize. Like one example, she asked her mom for a snack. Her mom said, "Oh, like your brother ate that snack." And then she's like, "Oh, okay, well, can I have that snack when we get home?" So just being able to be aware that, like, okay, this snack is at home. I don't necessarily need it right now. I can wait and then get it at home. So being able to reason there with her mom, very mature on her part. And then, of course, there was another instance where she wanted a blue pencil for her drawing, did not have it. Her mom explained, "Oh, we don't have a blue pencil." So she, pivoted and started drawing with different colors. So just, doesn't blame her mom for not having a blue pencil. She just accepts, like, "Oh, okay, that's the way it is." So that was a big thing for me that I noticed, was her willingness to adapt to adversity, if you will. Some mature things that I noticed from her, obviously her complex speech, her awareness for, I guess, the rules of the household, or just rules in general, which is something she's actually a little bit higher or more developed than your average child that would be around her age. And then there was an instance as well where she messed up, part of her drawing, and she was a little upset about it. So maybe that could be something that was immature by her, but I assume, that's very on par with other children her age. Future implications for her, just being able to communicate well with adults. I don't know if it was specifically for her mom that she's comfortable with, but very understanding when things weren't going her way, being able to negotiate, being able to just communicate well in order to get her way. I guess negotiate would be a good word there. And then also being able to, to draw figures. It was something that it was impressive, I felt like, for her. And then just a couple of things from the textbook that I noticed, or that came across my studies, is with, I don't really know how to pronounce his name, Piaget. I assume it's French. But just how kids can be a little selfish. Obviously with Liam, he learned, to share, not to be selfish, not to say, this is my tower, this is our tower. And I know, like, his Piaget, or however you say it, his whole thing is about how, kids can be very selfish, which would explain, honestly, Liam's, like, initial response of, blaming his brother for what happened. And then a couple other things from the textbook is from Vygotsky. Again, another hard name. I have something pulled up by him about how it's about language, and how language isn't just the communication, like, that we speak to each other with, but it also it helps with thoughts and like cognitive functions. And so with the second girl, just her being able to form complex sentences kind of gives you the idea that she, is able to learn, that she's able to because we learn language just by hearing it from our surroundings. So being able to take that information and then just like kind of flip it in your head so you're able to express how you feel. That's a good sign of her being able to just process information. So I found that really impressive for her. Another thing, just kind of an overall evaluation, just some side notes here, are about the cooperative play specifically. It's another thing from the textbooks about, or from Parton, I believe it was, like his stages of play, being able to, how being cooperative is just like the most complex, most advanced form of play, because it takes more than just your imagination, your own little world. You actually have to take into account, what kids around you are doing. So if you're building a tower together, like Liam, or if you're building me and my family, we build forts, or you're playing a board game where you're on teams, or if you're playing house and you're I'm the dad, whoever's the mom, and you kind of have to share roles that way. Typically around that age of like 4 or 5, like around the preschool ages, when they start to develop that ability. So that was another thing that I noticed. And then just the emotional regulation of these kids, being able to just modify their reactions from being originally upset to not upset anymore. And overall, the kids, they captured a lot of things from the textbook about the developmental stages. They're very strong in what I had previously mentioned, and overall they're doing real well.